I would like to begin by stressing the need for the volunteers and the non-profits. So 90% of all new development is designed to benefit primarily the 10%, top 10% of the pyramid. And this is one statement which calls for action from the volunteers. The reason why our enterprises, our new initiatives, our businesses are not affecting the bottom 90% of the pyramid, if not the entire 90%, but at least the bottom of the pyramid, it's because either there is no scope for profit or the government faces resource deficit. So here is the most most talked about pyramid, which is usually presented on these occasions, such as GHTC, which shows that there are at least 1.3 billion people who make less than $1 a day, right? So having this kind of per capita income, it is very difficult to make profit out of businesses that try to design products and services for this kind of population. So there is clearly a need of enterprises and volunteer and people who do not have a strong business motive. So people with philanthropic motive, people with care for these people is definitely required to address the challenges of these people. So this is yet another graph, which yet another figure that keeps getting displayed in many of the programs, such as the CSI workshop which we had on Sunday. So this map shows the access to electricity by regions, depicting the ease. So you could see a vast divide out there. There are clearly regions which have very high access to electricity, and there are several others which do not. So I was there at the CSI workshop on Sunday, which happened during this GHTC. So here are some of the key stats which CSI has pointed out. It's like the 75% of the sub-Saharan Africa, excluding South Africa, do not have access to network grid electricity. There are at least 50% of people in South Asia, including India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the overall population of 90% of the rural areas that are not on the grid. So there are predictions that by 2030, 1.4 billion people would still have lack of access to reliable electricity. Now, the challenge, again, that I would like to point out here is that the challenge in overcoming these issues is that A, there is either no profit for the enterprises working for these people, or B, the government has resource deficit. So there is clearly a need for volunteers to affect the lives of these people. So UN, as many of you would know, has put up the Millennium Development Goals, which are set to expire 2015. And if you look at the 8 goals which UN has pointed out, most of them, or many of them, do not have a lot of scope for profit-making enterprises. So that's why there is a huge call for volunteers out here. UN Secretary General made this statement emphasizing the importance of volunteers in development. Actually, there's an interesting statistic over here. In 2008, the estimated contribution of volunteers in terms of time and effort was $162 billion. So clearly, volunteer time and effort has had measurable impact in the past, and what we are trying to ask over here is, can IEEE volunteers also contribute in this line? So we are a group of 400,000 engineers, more than 400,000 engineers across 160 plus nations. So can IEEE volunteers play an active role in addressing the challenges of global development. So I think that is the fundamental basis of the special interest groups of humanitarian technology, the program that has been launched. So IEEE has always had several volunteer-led and volunteer-driven initiatives. Here is a small list. I'm sure there will be many other initiatives from the sections and the student branches which we might have not heard of. So the Humanitarian Technology Challenge, the PES CSI, the EPICS, Engineering Projects into Community Service, the Teacher in Service program, the Engineering for Change, Presidents Change the World competition. The list clearly shows that there is a lot of interest among the IEEE membership to play an active role in trying to address the development challenges. So seeing this interest, special interest groups on humanitarian technology was a program that was started to engage the membership that is interested in addressing development challenges using technology. So SIGHT is a dedicated organization of IEEE members interested in so-called humanitarian activities. And the prime charter of SIGHT, when I say SIGHT, it is both the SIGHT steering committee and the SIGHTs to engage our members either in the existing programs of the IEEE, as I listed in the previous slides, or in the new sustainable projects that benefit communities. The charter also includes the activities that SIGHTs can undertake to inspire, enable, and connect interested IEEE members. So to further answer the question of why SIGHT is needed, it's a way of providing visibility to the volunteers. It's a way to promote collaboration between the volunteer groups across the world. It's a way to have a categorized inventory of volunteer groups, projects, and activities. It serves as a channel for IEEE to invest in the member-led, member-driven activities. It's also a channel for the existing IEEE programs and societies to reach out to the membership and scale their initiatives. So the overarching motive of SIGHT is really to create opportunities for IEEE members so that they could devote their time and effort so that we contribute towards the humanitarian work consistent with IEEE's constitution of bringing the benefits of technology to the entire world. So, and especially when we're talking about bringing the benefits, it's the bottom of pyramid that we are focusing here. So to talk about the goals that SIGHT has, the first goal is to bring together members and the IEEE OUs working or wishing to work in the humanitarian fields and encourage them to promote activities using technology to address the development challenges. So the other goal is also to increase the awareness among IEEE members and engineers that their work has potential to change the world. To engage with the NGOs, local organizations, civil society organizations, and the UN organizations, the corporates, and the similar bodies to synergize efforts in this direction. So the other goal is also to work with the global engineering community, which share common goals and deliver activities consistent with the motive of addressing development challenges using technology. So I will briefly talk about what SIGHTs currently do. We have over 35 special interest groups on humanitarian technology across the world. So in a nutshell, what SIGHTs currently are doing can be categorized into activities and projects. While many SIGHTs have taken off sustainable projects that are based on the IDE principle, which I will be talking in the further slides, many SIGHTs are beginning to start with the activities that are of either inspiration and encouragement in nature for the local IEEE member community, or they are either educational in nature, or they're networking oriented. I mean, they are aimed at connecting people. So I'll give a brief overview of each of these category of activities and pick up some of the activities that sites are currently doing to just get an idea and overview of what sites are doing. So basically, IEEE activities, site activities can be categorized into inspire, enable, and connect. So in the inspire category of activities, I could list the contests, workshops, and tech talks, which sites have been doing, and these are the ways to create interest among the local volunteers to come and participate in the further site projects and activities. So here is an example from Madras SIGHT in India. Madras SIGHT came up with solar lamp design workshop and competition. So as part of this workshop and competition, the participants were trained on how to build their own solar lamp and deploy them in the communities which are in need. So when I got this report, I could see around 900 to 1,000 participants already benefited from this kind of workshop and contest. But looks like they have continued this effort, and there are more and more people participating in this effort. So towards the last half of this workshop, we will have presentation from Madras SIGHT chair Anand, who would further talk about how they went about bringing their site up, how they went about ideating this particular contest, and what is the strategy they had, and what is the impact they achieved. So this project had the dual goals. It had both educational and empowerment goals. So, and the impact that they achieved was encouraging. 53 universities were engaged as part of this program. Around more than 1,000 students were inspired, and they were also enabled to build their own solar lamps and deploy wherever it's needed. So the next category of site activities which I could list is enable. So some of the examples of enable kind of activities are workshops and focused activities which train the IEEE volunteers to equip them in creating an impact. So one such example is teacher in service program workshops, which our site groups are doing. Many of you might have heard about the teacher in service program. This is a program which equips the volunteers to go to their nearby local schools and create interest in the pre-university students, in engineering education. So teacher in service program is backed by a portal called as tryengineering.org. It's a database of lesson plans which volunteers can readily take benefit of, and they can create they can deliver in-service workshops in and around the local schools. And over the time, it has been seen that these exercises create a lot of interest among pre-university students towards engineering. So this is an example of a TISP workshop in Colombia, which was held this year. 50 plus volunteers were equipped with the TISP material. And the nature of this program is train the trainers. So it's expected that those 50 volunteers go back and then benefit at least 1 or 2 schools in their communities, so that the impact scales. So the other example I could pick off is from Kerala SIGHT. Kerala SIGHT organized Ice-Free Science Camp in in several places in Kerala. And the goal of this ice-free science camp is to teach science for visually challenged people using special techniques. So volunteers, in association with the local organizations, have developed special ways to train visually challenged people with basic science, basic pre-university science concepts. And I was surprised to hear that an outcome of this program was that the visually challenged people were able to develop projects which were part of their curriculum, faster than people who were not challenged visually. So it was clearly an impactful compilation of the techniques to train the visually challenged. So you could hear more such stories on what sites are doing on Engineering for Change portal. Engineering for Change also has a webinar series which frequently promotes such volunteer-led, volunteer-driven efforts within IEEE and also outside of IEEE. So I strongly encourage you all to join Engineering for Change webinar series. Right, the third category of activities is Connect. So these are networking type of activities which our sites are currently doing. And networking doing networking activities is kind of in the DNA of IEEE. IEEE has more than 1,000 conferences across the world. And going in the similar lines, sites have been doing conferences, networking events, community engagement workshops, etc. So as an example, for these kind of activities, I could pick from the Canada site. National Knowledge and Innovation Collaboration Program connects El Salvador and Canada in promoting humanitarian activities. We also had community engagement workshops by Kerala site again. So in this workshop, local and national NGOs were invited to talk what are the areas where IEEE members and volunteers could potentially contribute. So there was involvement from several NGOs, including Just Change India and Bedrock, who gave out perspectives on how could engineers help them in their challenges. So these are the examples of networking kind of activity sites are doing. So in the similar line, we had the site fellowships program this year to support conference participation of our site fellows, people who have been doing outstanding work on the ground. So this year we had 8 fellows from Nigeria, Iran, Bangladesh, Zambia, Canada, India, and USA. So they were of course supported for this conference, but then we have several conferences coming up. This year, the next year, we have the 2014 R10 Humanitarian Technology Conference in Madras. We have the R7's Humanitarian Conference in Montreal, Canada. So these are all opportunities for the site volunteers to present their work, and of course, site fellowship program kind of helps some outstanding work. So I would now talk about the projects, a little bit, an overview of the site projects after the activities. So sites are also encouraged to take up sustainable projects that benefit communities using technology. A detailed guideline on how the sites could apply for funding support, catalytic funding as we call as, which means that site steering committee would be interested in funding projects in the incubation phase with the promise that the projects would be either owned by the community and continued and sustained, or there would be some other external organization that would fund and sustain the project. So sites can apply for catalytic funding to start their sustainable projects. So as I mentioned, there's a detailed guideline based on the IDE principle, which IDE stands for Incubate, Demonstrate, and Educate. So sites are encouraged to actually apply for support and start carrying out their projects. So broadly, we have 4 goals for the site projects. When we talk about the project, what project sites can and will be supported to do, we have 4 project goals. One is to either directly develop or support technology and business initiatives which seek to have measurable impact in addressing the challenges such as poverty of energy, healthcare, sanitation, interconnectivity, and other technology-dependent solutions affecting the bottom of the pyramid. It's either that or develop open source technology solutions designed to drive down the cost of access to the full technology benefits. Having intellectual property restrictions keeps the costs artificially high, so we seek to support open source technology solutions kind of projects by the sites. The next 2 goals are this way. We also encourage sites to leverage the core technologies such as electricity, communications, and interconnectivity to bring about secondary benefits to the BOP, especially education, or the kind of projects which directly empower the bottom of pyramid local entrepreneurs and citizens who seek to develop sustainable, scalable, profit-making businesses in country and grow the community. So these are the broad goals for the site projects, and any project that fits into one of these goals, sites are strongly encouraged to apply for the support. So I'll quickly talk about the IDE framework for the site projects that I had mentioned before. So IDE is an acronym for Incubate, Demonstrate, and Educate, are the 3 critical and important phases which are central to developing a sustainable project and actually scaling it. So in a nutshell, Incubate reflects the phase where a prototype is being built. So in this phase, the capacity building actually happens within the engineers. And then Demonstrate is a phase where this prototype is actually tested, the proof of concept is made, and in this phase, capacity building actually happens with the local entrepreneurs. So there may not be scale at this phase, but then there is definitely testing of the proof of concept which was developed in the Incubate phase. And Educate phase is where the developed and tested prototype is actually handed over to the community, is actually owned by the community. So the capacity building happens with the community leaders. And this is the phase where detailed material on how to go about replicating the success we had with the prototype is developed. A lot of training programs and empowerment programs on how local community leaders could take this tested and deployed recipe and then scale among the communities. So this is a 3-legged approach which we are encouraging the sites to use as a framework to develop the projects. So we have a much detailed guideline put up on our website, and when the sites are actually applying for the support grants, they are actually supposed to lay out their plan such that it fits into the IDE framework, and that's how the site steering committee would evaluate. So with this, my intention was to give an overview of what site is, what are the goals of site, what the sites are currently doing and what they could do and stuff like that. So we will now move on to some of the procedures and protocols involved in site. So I would like to call upon the program manager, Holly, who would now explain some of the procedures. Thanks.